Hey guys, how's it going? So as I had mentioned in a previous video, I wanted to do an FAQ video. So I've gone through all the questions I got, which I got more than I expected to get, and I've limited it down to just a few of them that I thought were pretty interesting. So we'll go through them. First question: who influenced you to get into the chordal tapping stuff? I guess a couple different people. My biggest one, as I'd mentioned in the very bad phone video I did last week, Gonçalo Pereira was one of my biggest influences ever, which is really sad because he's a very, very unknown guitarist outside of Portugal, but he is unbelievable. And I just watched some of the stuff that he did, and I was watching when I was like 15, 16 years old on these Guitars Suck videos that were on YouTube, and just watching some of the stuff he did just blew my mind. Which wasn't necessarily chordal tapping, but it was just the runs he were doing. They were very, I guess you'd put them as, they were very melodic runs. It wasn't over the top, like showing off kind of stuff. They were just melodic runs, and I was learning his stuff, and I just kind of like started going off of that and being like, okay, well, he's kind of voicing this chord throughout the melody, so what if I actually just played that chord and then tapped instead of one note at a time, just tapping 2 or 3 notes at a time. And it just kind of went from there. And I mean, I got into it. I was doing that kind of stuff before I ever owned an H string or anything like that. Just because I love the sound of it. It gave you the ability to play by yourself, I guess, and sound more full. But I mean, just tapping in general, he was probably the guy that most got me into it, was Gonçalo Pereira. Make sure you check him out. He deserves everybody in the world to know who he is. The guy's unbelievable. And his hands are like the size of a basketball court. I don't get it. What made you gravitate towards H string? Like most people, I listened to Meshuggah when I was younger. I mean, I still listen to them, but right around when they put out the Catch 33 album, that was awesome. And I liked the idea, but I was like, I don't really know what's going on. And then when I first started listening to Animals as Leaders, I started hearing, there's a lot more you can do with it, which obviously there was. Just the premise by itself of having an H-string guitar, there's so much you can do with it, but nobody else was doing crazy stuff like that and covering the entire spectrum of the H-string. So I heard that, I thought that was really cool. And then Brent's Music, which was just in Fort Myers, just a little north of me, they had an RG2228 for sale, and I lucked out because it was one of their first runs that Ibanez did, and as the internet price was starting to go up, their price was going down because they couldn't sell it. So I went and played it a few times, and I just decided, you know what, whatever. I sold a bass and mixed my bass with my tax return, and I just went and bought it. And for the first month and a half, I don't even think I picked up a pick. I was just trying to get around it and kind of get a feel for the instrument, because I knew I didn't want to be one of those like, oh, you play H string, chug 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 0 0 bullshit. So I didn't even use a pick for the first month and a half, and that's how I came up with my first ever YouTube video, which was that "And She'll Never Be Alone Again" song. That was just me practicing how to get comfortable on an H string. Yeah, I guess that's kind of how I gravitated towards it. That, and it was readily available. Obviously, it was right in Fort Myers. I played it a few times, and I just decided, whatever, go for it. Which instrument of mine outperforms the rest? That is a tough one. They all do different things. I think that's why I own the guitars I do. I've got my one H string, which I've owned other H strings, and I've sold them before, and this one has stayed with me forever. This is the one that I had bought from Brent's, which now has this decal on it, and I put wood covers on the back, which you probably can't really see. And it's just been through a lot with me, pickup changes, everything. And that guitar is just home for me. I'm very comfortable with it. But it doesn't do things that my other guitars do. For example, my AFJ, or my AF, the Ibanez Jazz Box I have, it's so much warmer than the RG could ever be. It's just a warmer guitar, so it's better for doing like the really low tone rolled off Pat Metheny sounding stuff, really jazzy stuff. Obviously, it's a hollow body. And then my Parker, that Parker Fly is the most unbelievable lead guitar I've ever used. Like, it just falls out of you. You pick it up and you just can't help but just shred on the thing, which normally I don't shred at all, but that guitar just makes you, it makes me way better than I really am. And then I've got my Halo 7 string, which a lot of people give them hate, but the thing's actually pretty awesome. And it's really good for, I mean, all of my 7-string stuff. I had 2 Ibanez 7 strings. I sold both of them after I got that, so I don't need them anymore. So I try to only keep instruments that are outperforming my other ones. So I have one for each. I've got a solid 7-string, hollow 7-string, solid 6-string, solid 8-string. I've got my one bass. I've got a hollow 6, which I'm probably going to sell, and then a Strat. The only reason I bought that Strat is because it was like $50. What influenced me to play guitar? That's actually a really funny story. Initially, I was threatened with sailing lessons. My stepdad threatened me to go sailing, and I did not want that. And I had acquired a old left-handed Cort Strat knockoff from my stepdad's brother's nephew or something like that. Yeah, I just happened to go there and I was like, oh, guitars are cool. And he's like, you could take mine. I'm never going to use it. So I took it home. It just collected dust. But then when I was threatened with sailing lessons, then I was like, well, what if I take guitar lessons instead? Can I do that instead of sailing? So then I started taking guitar lessons. And I took them for probably like 6 or 8 months. And then I kind of fell off the bandwagon. I learned enough where this is when I was getting into bands like Static X and Slipknot and Mushroom Head, and all those heavy metal bands that aren't very technical. So then I started just learning all that stuff from ear. I stopped taking lessons, and then when I was in high school, my freshman year, I met a gentleman named Christian Legalio, who has been in 2 of my videos now, and he was in the jazz band. He was a year or 2 years up higher than me, but I walked into the band room one day, and I saw him jamming with a drummer and a violinist, and he was just unbelievable. We started talking, and turns out he had the same instructor that I used to have, so that kind of influenced me to go back to playing guitar, like actual guitar, like learning what I was doing. And so I went back, took lessons again for about a year, and then from there my teacher more taught me how to learn. So from there I just kind of took it on my own. I was just doing my own stuff. But I'd say the biggest reason I got into guitar playing the way that I am now, and like actual playing the guitar, being a musician as opposed to just being a guitarist, was my buddy Christian. Meeting him and seeing him play just blew my mind, and I was like, I wish I could do that. And I still wish I could do the stuff that he does. It can, to this day, is the best guitarist I've ever met in my life, hands down. What is my opinion on 9-strings? I think they're cool. I wouldn't mind playing one. I have enough time spent trying to figure out how to write songs on an 8-string, but I think it would be cool to get a 9-string. Considering the only person I've really seen do anything clean on it is Rob Scallon, and the stuff he did was pretty cool. But I think for the kind of thing I do, I think it could really offer some cool, cool options, just different things to do. And you've got that extra low, so, I mean, who doesn't like going lower? So, it would be pretty cool to use. I don't think I would buy one anytime soon, unless I got like a ridiculous deal on one. But as of right now, I'm pretty content with 8 strings. I've got 2 8 strings actually on the way right now. And I was offered a 9. I was, nah, I'll stick with 8 for right now. Let me just continue floundering on this. I'll figure it out from there. What is my favorite concept album? I love this question. I have to say I've got 2. My all-time favorite concept album is 2112 by Rush, because 2112 by Rush got me into Ayn Rand, and I love Ayn Rand. It's like the only books I can actually say I've read were Ayn Rand books. And not to mention that Rush is awesome, and no matter what you say, Rush is awesome. They make more money than you doing what they do, and they're pretty awesome at doing it. So I hate when people try to bash Rush. But yeah, that CD kind of blew my mind. I was actually turned on to that by the old manager at the music store I worked at. But my favorite album or concept album that's come out in the last 30 years, since 2112, would actually have to be Parallax 2 from Between the Buried and Me. I was never a BT Bam fan. I never liked them. I listened to them a little bit here and there. And the guys I used to play with in Iodine Sky, Bill and Jeff Pogan, they were both huge into BT Bam. And I could not do it. I couldn't get into it. Didn't like it. We'd listen to it in the car, and I was like, I gotta listen to this again. But when I went to go record the On the Shoulders of Giants stuff, me and Mike Kuiper, the singer, he lives up in Fort Myers, we drove up there together, and he was like, just listen to this, just shut up and listen to the CD. And he played Parallax 2, and it blew my mind. And like after actually listening to it and getting it, he was explaining the songs to me as they went on. I was floored, and then I went out and bought the CD because it was so awesome. So yeah, so I guess I have two favorite concept albums, but yeah, 2112 and Parallax 2, unbelievable. If you haven't listened to both of them, you need to listen to them. Thank you very much for checking out the video, guys. Depending on the response I get from this, I might do another FAQ video. If nobody cares, then I won't, and I'll just answer questions here and there. But I actually had a lot of fun doing this. I love being asked questions for some reason. As I had mentioned, I was going to do a giveaway. I was going to give away either a hat or a shirt, depending on what the winner wants. And I randomly picked, I just wrote all the names, put them in a cup and picked one out. And Michael Wilhelm, who commented on my video, he was the one I think that asked what made me gravitate towards an 8-string. You're the winner. So if you could contact me, preferably on either Facebook or email, dean.c.murphy@gmail.com. Either of those outlets, and let me know if you would like either a shirt or a hat and what size you are, and I'll get that out to you. As always, guys, if you did enjoy, I would love for you to check out all of my other social media outlets, as well as subscribe to the page for new videos every single Tuesday, and videos intermittently here and there whenever. Thank you very much, and I'll see you next Tuesday.